Hello and welcome back to the ACB Computers channel. Today we are going to be doing a computer checkup. After using your computer for about 3 to 4 months, you really want to make sure it is working well. And that's what we're going to be doing in today's video. Alright, now that we're on the main screen, we're going to go ahead and start our checkup. One of the first things I like to do on a computer checkup is run a core system scan. You're going to be doing this by doing the start and R button or the Windows key and start button. You're going to type in CMD and hit enter. Now, if you're the only user on your actual computer, you should have admin access. If you don't, then CMD and hover over Run as Administrator. Right click, or you would left click, depending on if you're left or right, sorry. And we're going to run a command called SFC. As you can see, there's a bunch of options here that you can check and cool little things you can do. But for one we're going to focus on today is SFC/scan now. Now before I continue, you'll see right here what scan now does. To put it simply, it scans the main files of your system, which allows you to use the Windows computer or the Mac computer. Now, if you're running a Mac, this will be different, but for now we're running a Windows because that's the most common computer. So this will scan your computer and find any errors. So this is what we're going to do is hit enter. And it's going to start scanning the core files of the computer to make them sure they are good. If there's any issues, you'll run into a pop-up that looks like this. One moment. It looks like this, where it says there is a system repair pending. And it'll tell you what you need to do. If it says something like restart your Windows, you have to go here and restart your computer. I've already done that step, so we're just going to go through this once as a once over, show you how this is done. Fortunately, this does take some time, so I'll be right back when this finishes. I am back. As you can see, the scan has completed successfully. Windows Resources Protection did not find any integrity violations. So that means this computer is working fine. Now I did run this before we shooting this video, and as I mentioned before, it did show that pop-up I mentioned right here, where it does show there was an error, and it went ahead and automatically updated the actual file because we have something called a recovery file that is provided by Windows to do these repairs when we need to. This is the fastest and easiest way to repair your computer if you have any blue screens of death, which is that blue screen you don't want to see. The next step after doing this scan is you're going to clear your temporary files. There's a few ways to do this, and there's multiple things you want to do. But first and foremost, we're going to hit the start and R button. We're going to type in pre-fetch. We're going to hit continue. We're going to highlight everything and shift and down. Once you have everything highlighted, right click and hit delete, or you can hit the delete button. You're going to hit skip when you see that, and it'll clear all your pre-fetch files. These are files that clog up your system. We're next going to do the start R and do the type in temp and hit enter, and do the same thing as well. Next one, we're going to go to settings. All right, now we're going to type in internet in the search bar. We're going to go to advanced network settings. From there, we're going to select internet options. First, you want to click on general. You want to hit this browsing history. Click delete. You want to delete temporary files, cookies history, download history, form data, and if you want to, you can delete passwords, but that's completely up to you. You're going to hit delete, apply, and OK. Next, if you have a different browser than used to be Internet Explorer, which is now Edge, you're going to go to Chrome. You can go to Start R and type in Chrome, and you can go to your main browser. You're going to go to History, and you can just go here and click Delete Browser Data. If there's anything here you want to do from all time, hit delete. And this will take a minute because there's a lot of data. As you can see, I went to advanced mode. Okay, that is taken care of. Next one is do a disk check on your computer. So we're going to look for something called defragment and optimize drives. So let's type in disk and it'll populate that app. Now there's a couple of things you need to keep an eye out in here. If it's a solid state drive, you don't need to touch that one. The ones you want to check is the HDD drives. This is the ones you want to check. And you want to turn on schedule as well, run on a schedule. You want to do this weekly, and you want to do this for drive D and E. And hit OK. Now we're going to analyze and analyze. Right now it's just checking the hard drives, seeing how we can improve them and make them run more smoothly. Okay, so it looks like it is done. So as you can see, 34% is fragmented and this one is 15 fragmented. So if you don't know what fragment is, it means when data is not correctly lined up in the hard drive. So a HDD drive, it has usually about 3 to 4 disks lined on top of each other. And data is stored on those disks by a laser. And sometimes that data is, say, on this part of the disk, and let's say this part of the disk. And from there, you will go ahead, because it's all jangled up, you want to make it lined up correctly next to each other. And how that is done is we would go to both of the drives. You can hit Shift and select both drives and hit optimize all. And right now it is just optimizing it to make it run smoothly. Next step is to check your memory, meaning the device that allows your system to even process all the data and cool stuff. So first you're going to hover over a taskbar, right click and click on Task Manager. Second, you're going to click on Performance. As you can see right here, Memory. You're going to click on Memory. As you can see right here, I'm using 4 slots out of 4 available slots. And I installed 64 gigabytes of RAM. So it's normal to see 63.8 as 228 megabytes have been reserved by the hardware. So this is a normal action of the system. So this is all good. If you start to see where it's saying available close to half of your originally installed RAM, also known as memory, you are going to think about replacing that memory stick. And I'll show you that in the physical portion of this tutorial of taking care of your computer, of how to replace those memory sticks. So now that you verify that the memory is good, you've checked your core files, you optimized your hard drives, and you've cleared out the temporary files. You need to clear out your recycle bin, of course. So I'm just going to empty that out. Next step is to go to Windows Update and check for updates. You're going to be checking for any Windows updates because there might be some important security updates or some important drivers that your system needs. So you're going to, when you checked Windows and there's nothing here, you can go to Advanced and click on Optional Updates. If there's anything optional, which would be hard drive drivers and stuff like that, that can be found here. Next step here is the same thing. We're going to right click on the Windows button and click on Device Management or Device Manager. In here you can find certain physical computer parts. So for example, my network driver, which is right here, you can hit on update device driver and search for driver updates. As you can see, immediately it says I have the best driver installed. Now, there are some situations where your hardware has its own software. For example, my system has a NVIDIA graphics card, has its own driver installation. I can download that driver installation software, or I can go to support right here, and then I can go to, in most computer software companies, they have a link like this, but normally you can find that under support and devices. From here, you would select 40 series. And it's a 60T. And that's another thing you'll learn if you go to Task Manager. Go right here. It'll tell you which graphics card or system tool is installed, and you can get that correct driver. So right now we have a Windows 11. We want the English version. When you search, the most recent driver was released on the 20th, and it is a GeForce ready. So that's perfect. So we're going to go ahead and view, and we're going to click download. You only want to do this from the official manufacturer's website. You can find this in your user manual, so don't throw those away. Those are very important, as it has crucial details like this in it. So you can hit yes. You want to make changes, driver. When it comes to the actual graphics card, also it's a display card, it's normal for it to flicker a little bit because it's adjusting the screen. To free up some additional disk space. Okay, so that can happen if you have enough disk space. And this is somewhere else you can go to delete temporary files. It's actually newer. I didn't even know this was a thing. I learned something new. So that would be under System, Storage, and used on other devices, local disk, and temporary files. Yes, that should work now. So I am back after updating the graphics card's driver. Now that we have gone ahead and updated the driver itself, we are going to go ahead and move over to the physical side of this project and check the physical hardware of the computer. Alrighty, so we are here now at the workstation to look in here and fix it or clean out, as I stated. So one thing's first is you want to unscrew the actual computer. Mine has a thumb screw, so I don't have to use much force to unscrew this, but you would want a Phillips screwdriver. Let's see if I can find mine. I can't find mine right now, but this looks like a star. Here, pieces I can use like this. Focus, yeah, something like that, and that will help you take this off. Okay, there we go. Alright, let's put this somewhere it's not gonna get broken. One other thing you want is some compressed air. You're just going to hold each fan, because each fan that turns can cause a power surge and could damage your pieces from static charge. So I'm just going to hold the piece of the blade and spray. A couple of squirts. That, if you have one, I recommend using a static wristband. If you're just spraying like this, it doesn't need it. Another tip I would give is to take a very, very damp rag, non-stack, and just dust the area. Okay, now that's basically all you have to do inside the computer is in dusting it. On some bottom of the computers, you might have one of these, which is a dust trap. You want to dust that off as well with a damp rag. And then, of course, the front right here. As you can see, there's a front panel. Here this one. Okay, now that we've dusted the computer off, one thing I want to show you guys is this right here. As I mentioned before, if you get that error where there's less storage than available than what you installed, you would want to just go right here. Unfortunately, you just take this out, take each one out, round sticks, as you can see, and test each one to find which one's dead. On here, on these dim slots is what they're called, you'll see a diagram that it'll say A1, A2, B1, B2, or 1 and 1 and 2 and 2, or 1, 2, 3, and then 3, 4. And they'll be color colored. So the color colored ones go first, and then the non-colored one goes second. Now when you replace these, you want to make sure the latch right here is matching with the latch right on here. And you're just going to line it up and make sure both ends of the latches that you undone are lined up. Make sure it's lined up. Sometimes it's hard to see. You feel it when it's in there. And you're just going to put equal pressure on each side till you hear 2 clicks. Like that. And it is installed. There you go. That fixed it. And one other thing, if you're having any errors with your storage devices, you want to make sure that everything is tightly down. All right, that's everything. Let's go back to the camera.